Good day, everyone. Welcome to Global Government News. Today is August 31st, 2010. For me, it's just 3.5 hours until the 1st of September. We're getting into this economic news, financial news. There's a little light in the picture as home prices rise in 17 cities for the month of June. Just wanted to start off this video by asking any viewers out there that want to check out anything else that I'm doing as far as where I come from, a little profile. If you haven't visited my website, ggnonline.com, I recommend checking it out. There's all kinds of videos in there and archived. You just go down to the right and there's the dates. And I tell you, I started out a year ago doing this, and it isn't even close to what it is now. So thank you everybody for checking these videos out. Like I said, just check it out. The video or the website's link, ggnonline.com, is posted on my YouTube channel. You can go in there and check it out, and I just got a little PayPal thing set up yesterday, so I don't expect people to be donating right off the bat, but anything helps. Basically, I've been unemployed for a year now, and since I've been unemployed, this is what I've been doing, and I've been taking it more seriously. And so if you think that this is helping you at all, providing some kind of information, then once in a while, if you can drop even 50 cents, that would just keep my hopes up, and I truly appreciate it. So thank you, everyone. This is from Time, and it says home prices rose in June for a third straight month, as now expired tax credits inspired a burst of home buying, but prices are expected to fall through the rest of the year now that demand has faded, says the Standard & Poor's. Case-Shiller's 20-city home price index released Tuesday posted a 1% increase in June from May and was up 4.2% from a year ago. 17 cities showed monthly price gains, and it says still the gains were weaker from the previous month in several markets, including San Fran, San Diego, and LA. Home prices nationally were up 4.4% in April to June. Says that followed a decline of 2.8% in January to March quarter. Says the jump was largely because buyers could take advantage of government tax credits up to $8,000. Home sales have dropped sharply since those incentives expired. This next one is from the London Telegraph, titled Wall Street European Markets Steady After Surprise Jump in U.S. Consumer Confidence. This is from August 31st, 2010. Wall Street edged higher, halting a slide in European stocks after a surprise jump in U.S. consumer confidence offset Japanese jitters about the global economy. Says the conference board said its consumer confidence index for August jumped to 53.5. That was above 50.5 economists had predicted, and gave some hope to traders about the pace of recovery. The Dow Jones index rose about 0.4% to 1050 in the afternoon trading in New York, with the S&P 500 gaining 0.3% and the NASDAQ at about 0.15. Said, moving down here, today's report of growing consumer confidence could mean shoppers will start spending again, and employers might begin to increase hiring. Well, I hope that happens for my sake, but it's not being pessimistic here, dude. I mean, this is just, if you don't have your head up your ass, and you've been paying attention to how this whole thing came to be, then you realize that no, that's not going to play out. The jobs aren't going to come back in droves. People aren't going to just start spending craps of money again, even though it's good, it helps out the economy. But right now, they're holding on to whatever money that they have, and actually, some people are actually tapping into their 401ks just to eat. So, with unemployment around, the real unemployment, those that are unemployed and aren't receiving benefits anymore, they're under the radar and they're not being counted in those numbers. So it's around 20 to 23%. So they're trying to create some optimism and some hope, like Mr. Obama, but I think they're not really telling the truth. This next one is from the AP, and this is, of course, like I said, they're just latching on to any ounce of hope. And this says consumer confidence inches up in August. Americans' confidence in the economy improved slightly in August from July, but they they're still roughly as gloomy as a year ago. That's weird the way he said that. So the downbeat sentiment underscores the challenges ahead for the increasingly shaky recovery. And I like to say it's a restructuring, and you'll see what I'm talking about towards the end of this video. And for retailers, which are grappling with a weak start to back-to-school shopping, kind of like I think it was last year's Christmas, finally they were expecting sales to be more than what they were. The year before, people were struggling, and credit cards, people were mostly using their credit cards, but the sales were still up. So the numbers don't lie. It says worries are even growing about the critical holiday. Oh, see, I'm reading this with you, so I didn't read this yet. I'm just kind of going with it. It says worries are they're worrying about the holiday season. Well, you can, like I said, we'll wait and see. It says this next one is from Zero Hedge, and it's titled Jim O'Neill suggests it may be time for the U.S. to give up our own middle class and focus on China's. And it says, just reading the beginning of this, a floundering Jim O'Neill has never been decoupling as wide as it is now, and the man is now openly hallucinating, seeing every non-developed country as a potential brick. And it says, well, of course, China needs its resources. Soon every open mine will be a brick to be exploited by Chinese interests, which come see and suck the place dry as they build yet more vacant cities, ghost towns, and highways to nowhere, hoping they can sustain the illusion of the world's greatest bubble for a few more months, which is precisely all those who are betting on a collapse of China are playing it, not with the China CDS, but those of Australia. And it goes down here. It says, what if this slowdown is sustained and we actually move into another recession? And we're already in a recession, so it says the American dream needs something new. And yeah, so in 2008 we were in a depression officially, and they were saying we were heading into they were trying to figure out whether we were in a recession. And so here we are again 2 years later. Over $20 trillion spent, according to Bloomberg, went towards the banks via taxpayers. And I looked at the numbers, and we're already in the negatives. So as far as growth goes, growth has slowed down. That's just pretty much a recession. And so they'll keep talking about, are we heading towards a double-dip recession? And then we'll be negative 6%, and hey, we're in depression status. So it says UK consumer confidence rises sharply despite austerity onslaught. It says UK consumer confidence bounced back sharply in August despite austerity onslaught and rising fears of a double-dip recession. Confounding those who thought fiscal tightening would set off a self-feeding downward spiral. And it says consumer confidence has been in a constant decline for the past 5 months, and a further fall would have made a double-dip recession seem a very real prospect. The government will undoubtedly read these figures with a great deal of relief, he said. Yeah, I'm sure that they will. And like a good friend of mine who's much more savvier and knowledgeable on monetary policy and the type system that we're living with, the type economic system that we have, which is Keynesian, we pretty much came to the realization is that there may not necessarily be a collapse. It's going to be, like I said, a restructuring where you get used to working for less. People like me with college degrees are basically unemployed. People with brains that can speak, that can write and tell the truth, they're going to be unemployed. They want brainless zombies, right? And that's the new economy. It's not manufacturing, it's retail jobs. So we believe that there isn't going to be this big oncoming collapse. It's always an option, it's always on the table for the powers that be. But you got to remember, this is Keynesian, this is corporatism, this is all about what's going on now. These are heists. This is fraud, right? And then it's white collar fraud. So, because it's not like a drug war down in Mexico, people think, hey, these guys are well groomed, they look clean, they speak well, hell, you know, they made a mistake, that's all. But no, this is the system of corporatism. It's about big government and big corporations, and corporations committing fraud and doing everything else, scamming consumers, and using the government, of course, by over-regulating their competition and doing whatever they have to do. And then after they go almost insolvent, which they pretty much already were, they get money from the government, and they call it a bailout, but it was a heist. And so after the consumer's money is lost into this black hole, then they're, as taxpayers, because they're slaves, now that money goes back to the same people. It's just, you see, the government is just used like a mafia. They could have hats and suits and have suicide doors when they go to work in their car, but no, they don't. So you could pick and choose. The government's a mafia. You can go down and pick the Mexican drug cartel, which is basically they are the government, and they're using the police and the military to get rid of competition, which is all the little drug dealers. And then they go around and they basically thug and do shakedowns on businesses. And so here, and then, like I said, you can have the 1920s mafia, or you can have well-dressed businessmen. But don't be fooled. It says cash-poor governments ditching public hospitals. Faced with mounting debt and looming costs from the new federal health care law, many local governments are leaving the hospital business, shedding public facilities that can be caregiver of last resort. It says officials in Lauderdale County, Alabama, said this spring opted to transfer their 91-year-old Eliza Coffey Memorial Hospital and other properties to a profit company after struggling to satisfy an angry bond issuer. I'll be running short on time here, so you're going to have to go in here and check this 30 statistics that prove the elite are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and the middle class is being destroyed. This is pretty obvious. I've already gone through most of this stuff, but man, it'll knock your socks off, the numbers. Like I said, the numbers don't lie. So if you do your homework, if you're not naive, and you're, quote, awake, you can see what's really going on. You don't really need me or anybody else telling you this, right? So, but a lot of people are busy and whatever else. So, like I said, I don't mind doing this. It says homelessness up 50% in New York City. If you think you've been seeing more people sleep on the streets, statistics back up the perception. The homeless population living in New York City's streets have gone up 50% in the past year, according to city statistics. Next one from the Telegraph. EDF puts up electricity prices for 1 million customers. It's weird how they word that. They're jacking the rates up, basically. Electricity prices will go up for the first time in 2 years after EDF said more than 1 million customers would see their bills increase. An estimated 1.2 million customers will be hit by the price, which takes effect from the start of October. Bills will increase 2.6% and £10 a year, from £399 on average to $409. And that happens in the U.S. here too. And it's, like I said, corporatist, where basically a lease or a contract is ended, which is totally non-free market, because they have a monopoly, the utility companies usually. And anybody that pays attention to this stuff knows that what happens, they threaten to raise rates, and then the government gives them what? Some kind of stipend, some kind of payment, right? So it's a shakedown. Except it's a corporation shaking down the government. And it's coming out of your money. So it's not coming out of thin air. So you can pay higher prices, or you can pay in taxes. But people like to just pay in taxes because it's on people that aren't born yet. So it's in the future. It's a lot easier to steal from people when they're not born yet. Record number in government anti-poverty programs. Washington government anti-poverty programs that have grown to meet the needs of recession victims now serve a record 1 in 6 Americans and are continuing to expand. 40 million Americans live on food stamps. Scottish police to lose 3,200 officers. Treasury staff brace for 25% layoff. The restructuring. New job means lower wages for many. Get used to it. U.S. stocks have worst August since 2001. Now, who do you think they're going to call, folks, if there is a collapse? They're not going to call the cops. They're going to call the military.